Could John Fisher's dream of moving the A's to Las Vegas be crumbling faster than a house of cards in the desert wind?
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. I am your host, Booney. Episodes will drop Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. That's Oakland time, Vegas time, and Sacramento time. Whether you are on your way to work, driving back from work, or listening casually during the day, thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen every day. I am from the Bay Area, and I've been a die-hard A's fan since 1981. I'm here to bring you a real fan's take, covering everything from Oakland to Sacramento to Las Vegas. This is the place for A's fans to get the latest game breakdowns, team news, and more. This is where the passion of the fans take center stage. Thank you for making Locked On A's your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. And please hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Locked On Vegas Golden Knights host Tony Cordasco joins us today to give us an inside perspective on Las Vegas, the A's potential move, and the general feel in Vegas about the A's. First, I am starting to think that Vegas may be one big facade, and there is another plan in place. Today's episode is brought to you in part by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. John Fisher is currently looking to sell off a minority stake of the A's for a whopping $500 million. How is that even possible considering Forbes gave the A's a valuation of $1.2 billion? In other words, selling a minority stake in the amount of $500 million gives the A's a valuation of $2 billion. It has been apparent from recent reports from numerous news outlets that he has been shopping this stake for quite some time now. The news alone is not a big deal. I mean, if I can get someone a bite at that price, why not? But when you combine the fact that Fisher has not revealed how he plans on paying for the stadium or any type of financing plan, that does raise some eyebrows. Why is this important? Fisher has to submit a financial plan in order to take advantage of the public funding measure passed by the Nevada legislature. Steve Hill, the CEO and president of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, has said that Fisher has the money, and he has said this on numerous occasions, which I do believe. The question is the liquidity of Fisher and if he wants to part with any of his own money. Let's go back in time. Why was a new stadium crucial? In 2020 and 2021, the A's were phased out of revenue sharing by Major League Baseball, receiving no money. Beginning in 2022, the A's were to be participants in revenue sharing at 25% over a 4-year period on one condition. According to the agreement, the A's need to enter a binding deal for a new ballpark by January 15th, 2024, or they will be eliminated as a revenue sharing recipient. Since they received the Las Vegas commitment, they will remain part of the revenue sharing until they do move. Now, Fisher has always pocketed this money. It has never gone back to the team. Moving an MLB team that is not an expansion team to Las Vegas has never made any sense. The location has never made sense. The plan has never made sense. None of it has added up. Since Wolf and Fisher bought the team, it has been story after story that they have told to the public that has had zero truth to it. And here we are again. Let's go back to April 10, 2024, when the A's announced the move to Sacramento. John Fisher and Sacramento Kings owner and current owner of the AAA Sacramento Rivercats, Vivek Ranadive, has made it clear that he wants a Major League Baseball team in Sacramento. Ranadive is allowing the A's to play at Sutter Field rent-free, even though the A's will not even identify as the Sacramento A's. They will go by just A's or Athletics. Why is Ranadive doing this? According to sources, and this is back in April, Vivek Ranadive did not believe Vegas was going to happen. He always believed that it would eventually fall apart. Here we are 6 months later, and his prediction is looking pretty darn good. It is my belief that while Fisher is asking for a ridiculous amount of money for a minority share, he's thinking, what do I have to lose? Maybe somebody will bite. And at the same time, he is just buying time as he works out a sale to Vivek Ranadive and a permanent move to Sacramento with plans to build a new stadium. Locked On Vegas Knights host Tony Cordasco gives us his take on Vegas and the A's. Up next. This episode is brought to you in part by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. For me personally, I love PrizePicks. They have tons of choices and options for every single game. It is very easy to deposit, and when you have a winning day, it is very simple to withdraw. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which players aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your opinions into real money all season long with PrizePicks. We have a little NBA action tonight, and I'm staying with the Sacramento theme. I am going De'Aaron Fox more than points and Sabonis more than points plus rebounds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's Locked On MLB. PrizePicks. Run your game. Are the A's coming to Vegas?
I like to be a person that gives you an exact answer, a yes or no answer, but it's a definite maybe. And they're saying that everything should be done. Everything should be sealed by the month of December. There were a lot more red flags. There's been dozens of them here, as you know, well chronicled. But Sandy Dean, he had mentioned that the A's are in good shape financially, but he never shared what that means as far as financing goes. And so to me, it is still an iffy proposition. I'm not sure if they're going to come up with a last minute deal. It appears as though they will. It appears as though everything is in place now with the Tropicana Hotel imploded and that site is ready to go. But they're saying everything should be finalized by December. And let's hope that that is the case, because they're supposed to start breaking ground here in the spring so that they have the stadium ready to go and open there in 2028 for that campaign. But the lease agreement, there's been a lot of questions, a lot of back and forth. Hey, it took forever to get the renderings. Like we were still waiting to see what the renderings would look like. Oh, they're done, but they never shared them. And then you had all the controversies with the teachers and the teachers union and them pushing back. And why are we giving the financing to the A's? Again, giving billionaires all this money. That's been the case before. It did work out at Allegiant Stadium, I have to add, because that stadium has been a gem. It has driven in so much money and revenue for the entire city. And I think it's going to happen. I feel comfortable in saying that it's going to happen. It's just to what degree or to what level. And do the A's have the financing and the backing? We don't know, because they haven't disclosed anything. And are they going to be for real once they get here? Or are they going to try to sell the team? There's so many questions still surrounding the A's move to Vegas.
Does Fisher shopping a minority stake of the team at a valuation of $2 billion, and has been doing that for quite some time, apparently, raise any red flags?
More red flags. Any?
Yeah.
There's been several. Like there's several, starting with, again, just at those meetings and not being transparent, with the LVCVA. Hey, the LVCVA, they are looking out for the good of our city. It will be tremendous if we have a ballpark, T-Mobile Arena, and Allegiant Stadium within walking distance of 1 mile. Those three venues are within a 1 mile area. And again, it's just a matter of just get your books in order and then share everything and be transparent. If they're shopping, then just show it to the LVCVA and to the Stadium Authority.
Do you feel that Steve Hill has the best interest for the people? Rumors is that Steve Hill is simply out for Steve Hill and it helps him. But again, those are rumors.
Well, I'll tell you, the only thing, so we have Formula One racing here, and the locals are turned off by Formula One racing because it was a disaster in year one. They closed down a lot of the streets. They impacted a ton of the businesses here in Las Vegas, and it's a bad taste here in the mouths of the locals. Now, when they did all of these studies and surveys, and they first presented, the A's came here to present to the Stadium Authority, for first to the LVCVA, now to the Stadium Authority, which is basically a branch, right, of LVCVA. They didn't tell like everything up front. And then on top of that, I'm a marketing guy, and all they did was talk about tourism and how it's going to impact tourism, and how 33,000 seats are going to be filled by tourists every night. Well, if you go to Raider games, there is a very big base of local fans that have seat licenses, season tickets. If you go to the Golden Knights, what is that, about 80% locals, maybe 85, 90% locals there? I think you need that foundational base. And this is something that they just overlooked from the get-go. When I saw their marketing plan, it was like, okay, well, how are you going to sell, the A's against a bottom-feeding team here in Las Vegas that the fans aren't going to travel for? Who are you going to rely on? And how are you going to fill nightly 33,000 seats? Then they also talked about playing these 4:00 afternoon games. And you want to talk about gridlock there, right there on Tropicana Avenue here in Vegas. That would be an absolute mess. Plus, are fans going to show up? And the way that the stadium's facing, and again, it's not a complete dome. the sun is right there to the west, like blinding a lot of the people, the players, the fans. There's so many questions that I have about the A's. I'd like to have a Major League Baseball team here for selfish reasons. Again, just to go to the ballpark, go and enjoy a game. I'm a Yankee fan, for good or bad. But I would like to go, and see the Yankees when they play here and some other major league teams. And I think a lot of locals would as well. But if they're going to make it a hassle to go there, if the tickets are going to be overpriced, if the A's are going to still play out of market for 7 or 8 games a season, that was another concoction of theirs. There's just so many red flags here. And a lot of the folks, to be honest with you, would much rather have an expansion team than to have the A's move here, to be quite frank.
Do you think there's going to be the same type of passion? Let's say if the A's do go to Vegas, there will be the same type of passion by the Vegas fan base as, let's say, for the Golden Knights, for UNLV back in the day, in the Tark days. Is that same type of passion there for the Raiders? From the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like it's there.
I mean, I root for the Raiders. I'm not a Raider fan, but I want them to succeed for the economic impact of the city. So when they built Allegiant Stadium, a lot of naysayers were saying this isn't going to work. Why are we using tax dollars? Well, they used 0.8% of each room night revenue from every hotel room in the city to pay for that. It doesn't really impact us at all. It doesn't at all. And it's just become a huge convention center. And so will they root for the A's? I think it's going to take time. I think it's going to take some marketing magic. They're going to have some good players. And we haven't scratched the surface about the AAA Aviators being here in town. And this past season was a disaster. 19 players, I was told, who began their season with the A's in the minor league system were promoted to the big leagues. And guess what? With the Aviators here, they had 253 total roster transactions, including players on Major League Baseball rehab assignments. It was just a revolving door. The fans, they will come out. They will support a winner. Now, it's great at Allegiant Stadium. I just covered the game between the Raiders and Chiefs, and that was about 70% Chiefs fans. So it is bringing in outside money. And they say, according to reports, that each one of those people is worth $800 per night minimum when they come here. So you have thousands of people, thousands of fans, economic impact. It's tremendous. I think then, the locals can live with that. And they do go out there and support them. And I think there's not enough of them, and they're selling their tickets, to be honest, too. But I think if the Raiders could turn the corner and start to win, I think you'll have more interest here from the locals and more support. The A's have to prove that they come out here and that they are going to genuinely want to win and excite the fans. But for them to overlook, again, the local fan base is just ridiculous, in my opinion, because you need to have the local base to support you when the outside fans don't come in.
In my humble opinion, I don't think the A's are going to come to Vegas. And let me tell you why. I think everything is accurate with regard to, does John Fisher have the money? He does. He is worth what has been examined and what has been reported. But I don't feel that John Fisher is liquid, meaning any type of funds that would need to complete the paying for the stadium would cost him additional money in taxes or whatever it may be. And I don't think Fisher's willing to do that. For him to shop this transaction at a $2 billion valuation and expect someone to either invest in it or lend on it is nuts, considering they were just valued at $1.2 billion. This episode is brought to you in part by GameTime. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets and more with GameTime picks. I was looking to go to the Dallas Cowboys San Francisco 49ers game last Sunday night, and what I loved about the GameTime experience is the all-in pricing feature, where it shows you the total up front of your ticket with no surprise fees at checkout. It's the only ticketing app that gives me complete peace of mind. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
This has been a challenge, right? This hasn't been easy for the city, for the Convention and Visitors Authority, nor has it been for the A's. I know they had all those sites up there in the Bay Area and what have you, but I just recall the state legislature when they came up with that $380 million.
Right.
They stayed up. It was like not the 11th hour, it was the 12th or 13th hour that they finalized it, remember? And they had, it was their last night and we got to get this done. And there was some pushback and all that. So from the beginning, this thing has been very painful. I thought for a while, so 2 months ago, I was driving by the Rio Hotel and I had some friends in from out of town, from Minnesota, and they came in and we went out and we did some fooling around on the strip, and we came back around the back way, and I was like, wow, look at the colors of the lights at the Rio.
Yeah.
Green and yellow. It was Oakland A's colors.
Yeah.
So were they going to try to pull the shifto and move from the drop site to the Rio? There's some other land that Station Casinos owns off of Tropicana West. So again, it's just like you need to be forthright and just let everyone know exactly what you're doing, because this is a 30-year deal, okay? Supposedly 30 years. And you need to bargain in good faith as far as I'm concerned. And the LVCVA, we've seen this act before, because with the F1 race that came here, they didn't know everything that was going to be involved up front. They just said, oh, Formula One. Oh, my God, this is great. Their eyes lit up. It really impacts 4 casino groups, and that's it. 4 casinos probably, period, in this city. And they just gave them the keys to the city, and now they're having to clean up, and they're getting bills. Clark County is fighting with LVCVA. That's not my $50 million bill. What is this? Seriously, it's a joke. It's become, and this is what's happening with the A's move here. At least with the Raiders, I felt that everything was pretty much dealt with up front. There was skepticism, which now I think it's been erased. I really do, because of the business that it drives in this city. And an A stadium, again, will impact and provide more money here to the local economy. There's no doubt about it. But will there be 33,000 fans that come in, on a weeknight from Baltimore? Like, no. What are we talking about here? So yeah, it's been difficult. It's been quite a process, to say the least.
As being a local, what do you think a game would draw?
15,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but again, the start times were wonky. A 4 o'clock start. When? Why? Where? Like, what are we talking about? At 4 o'clock on a weekday?
Yeah.
Come rush hour at 5 and thereabouts. I mean, it's already a disaster there at the Four Corners right there on Tropicana and Las Vegas Boulevard. It is a mess, and they've got like a 6-year project going on that seems as though it's in year 10 already, where it's 1 lane, a half a lane, roads are closed. Formula One's knocked down a lot of roads. The gridlock there is just going to be ridiculous, and we don't have rapid transit here. So a lot of people are going to have to park far away. There's no parking, I think, limited. Is there any parking period there on that site? No. Like, where are you going to come from? Where are you going to park? And then the casinos are going to jack up their parking prices. It's stupid that we have to pay for parking anyway, because we were spoiled back in the day. And they're going to charge you 50, 60, 70, $100, like they do this with the Raiders currently.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to clean up before this 35-acre site can have a stadium. Will there be a first pitch there in 2028? I'm with you. Like there's no definitive answer. It's not like it's positively, we're so pumped up it's coming here. They should have embraced this entire community. And then some of the other stuff, like I looked through the stadium authority, through the agreement that they have. The A's only have to pay back into the community $500,000 a year until like 2029. They're gonna, they're gonna help out like all these people in Vegas and charitable donations and what have you. Hey, that doesn't go very far. And as soon as they really ticked off a lot of the teachers and the teacher union and all of those folks, then those people are upset. There's like different factions of people now that are very mad about them coming here. And I just like the game of baseball. I'd love to see it here. Again, there's two teams. Could you see what happens if the Aviators outdraw the A's? Because they did that about 90% of the games this season. I think it'll be a good attraction, though, once it lands here, if they market it in the right manner. They have to. It's all about marketing this team and getting players that people, the fans, want to see. And I'm not talking about visiting players coming in. You have to have good players and a good team, and a team that's at least going to be competitive in year one.
What are we looking at as far as deadline with regard to Fisher getting the financing and getting the project underway? Steve Hill has kind of gone back and forth with regard to this, saying, hey, if he doesn't have it by the deadline, we can stretch it out a little bit longer. I
do believe that things are going to start to get dicey here, pardon the Vegas pun, but I think it's going to get real into the month of December, because that's pretty much for me. And I think for this project to continue on and for it to happen, that's going to be reality check time. Because if Sandy Dean's saying everything will be in order, all the paperwork will be here, we'll be ready to go in December, that's when they're going to need to do it. So pretty much, because you can't just start to put shovels into the ground there come the spring, unless you have paperwork and permitting and all that stuff, right? That you have to do to build something. Now, once they do put the first shovel into the ground, I will tell you that Vegas does this better than anyone else. That thing will go up in a few minutes, like literally. So like, I'll tell you, I'll give you one example of how fast they move. The Aria, that whole complex there at the Aria Hotel Casino, and they have other, buildings around there. When they were building that, I went on a few tours in there and just to watch the progress. A lot of friends and had some business to do with that. They built one floor a week. Think about that, all the way across. So every week another floor was added, and that thing went up in no time at all. So we can build here. The weather is conducive to having a project finished, and most of the time they complete it like Allegiant Stadium before it's even supposed to be done. So that's not the issue. As soon as they start that project, it'll be moving really fast. Another thing, you talk about some of the audacity, like they were like, I think it was Dean or maybe it was Fisher, and they just said, you're giving us $380 million, but we're only going to spend around $340 million of that money that you're giving us. What are they going to spend the rest? Why would they try to save any of the money? We should have just given them $340 million, not 380. That thing came from, again, puns intended, whatever, left field. Absolutely. It's crazy, right? All these twists and turns. You're just going to not spend all the money we're giving you. It's supposed to go into the construction, the development. We haven't even talked about the entertainment zone around there, and they're going to be taxing already. Like if you go to one of these sporting events here, I don't drink beers, but my friends drink them aplenty. Like, what are they, like $30 for a small beer? And they're going to start taxing more, beer tax, Uber drivers tax. Like it's out of control. It's out of control to try to make that money back when they, again, if everyone just will cooperate, if they will negotiate in good faith, I think we could get this to the finish line here in Vegas. But there's just a lot of shenanigans, and I just hope that Las Vegas did not get duped in this.
But since Fisher and Lewis Wolf bought the team, that's all they've been doing is these shenanigans. They've been telling story after story after story after story. And
I call them used car salesmen. I
yeah,
do. The first time I saw them, it was just like it was so bizarre the first time that they appeared, and then they said this isn't really our rendering of our stadium, it's something else, and it was just very strange, very odd. Like, come in, get to the point. If you want that money, you're going to have to show us that you have something legitimate. Don't waste our time. They should have just really cracked down at that point in front of the various committees. And I think just Vegas now is just infatuated with sports, and it's not a bad thing because the only pro team I had growing up here in Vegas pretty much were the UNLV Rebels. It's great to have live sports here. I go out to Allegiant Stadium. I cover the games, like I said, and I get there 3.5 hours early. It's a terrific culture. I've always liked the NFL. I go there. I sit with my media friends. We watch the morning games. We get to work. We have fun. We kibitz. We grab food. And it's a great culture. It's a great culture. And, hockey here is just massive. That's really just taken on a life of its own. And they've done a terrific job with marketing and building that franchise. And they could do the same with the A's. They really could. They really could do something really special and good here by bringing professional baseball to the Strip. And you can't build, you know what? That's the other thing. They were looking around the city. Well, maybe we'll build it next to the Aviators Stadium out in Summerlin, like 30 miles off the Strip. And then you're going to target tourists. They're going to do what? Like get in Ubers and go out there. And what do you like? The whole thing was a mess from the very beginning. But hopefully, sooner or later, Las Vegas is going to have to say, take it or leave it. I think other teams would want to come here. I think this is another really good market for expansion if it, goes that way. And I just think that baseball would do well here. But again, provided they market it the right way. I can't say that enough because it's not just tourists coming in. It's not just that many tourists coming into Vegas because I don't want to watch. I'm on my vacation. Do I want to go sit down and watch the A's play another team that I don't really have an interest in and sit there for 3 hours and watch a baseball game?
right.
Or two and a half now, maybe with the pitch clock, Yeah, there's a lot of questions. There's so many questions, right? Still that remain.
Tony, 45 years in Las Vegas. You've covered sports. You've been out there. UNLV running Rebels has to be a memory. Vegas Golden Knights winning a Stanley Cup does have to be a huge memory. Where do those rank? And do you believe the Raiders or potentially the A's will ever match those type of memories you did have?
I wish that the Raiders would just get out of their own way. I just wish they would, because I enjoy having the NFL here. I'm supporting the team. I'm not a Raider fan by any stretch, but I want them to do well for the sake of the city. UNLV winning it, 1990, the 91 run, that just ranks up there. I'm a UNLV alum. Could you imagine UNLV running Rebel basketball if there were social media back then?
Oh my God, yeah, what a team, huh?
Oh my goodness. Oh my, the
Larry Johnson, you had Stacey
best team
Osmond.
ever.
It
The
really
greatest
was.
team of all time. Stanley Cup, having that here, and the Stanley Cup, the parade here on the Strip was phenomenal, and just the support. And I'm doing Lockdown Golden Knights now too,
Yes.
so I do the daily podcast with Chris Golick, another guy here in Vegas. So we do follow hockey every day, so check that out if you're in the vicinity. But
100%.
thanks. Yeah, no, it's been great.
100% Will. Hey, Tony, thank you so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it. Your insight, everything unbelievable. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you can have me back anytime if something breaks here, if you'd like. Yeah, I'm around. I'm not going very
Thank you,
far.
sir.
Obviously, I haven't left Vegas in 45 years. So
Appreciate you, my friend. You take care.
thank you.
We appreciate you making today's episode of Locked On A's your first listen of the day. For your second listen, be sure to check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with your pal Sully. who has it all covered every single day. Click here to listen now. Don't forget that between these episodes, you can keep up with me and your A's by following on social media at Twitter or X at Locked On A's. On tomorrow's show, I am going to break down why it is not possible for the A's to move to Las Vegas, and that the next owner of the A's will be Vivek Ranadive, current owner of the Sacramento Kings. An episode you don't want to miss. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.